We're back here with another ep. We have Leah's on with us again, and then we have Cole. Cole Trichell is on with us. Cole is I employ him as a guide for the outfit. Yeah. So this is our third year, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Together, yeah. Third fall. We're like halfway through now. And, we were talking a little bit before this thing started. You're like 10 months so far this year, 10 months guiding or hunting.
Give or take. And
even like when we have time off, like through Thanksgiving, whatever, you still go hunt. Mm-hmm. It's the funsies.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that he's doing the classic like guide life, like bouncing around. You were with us last year, and then in between that and like the summer, you went to New Zealand, right?
Mm-hmm. Before we get started, I should probably let people know that we're rolling on video right now, but as things go most of the time in my life, the batteries are almost dead, so probably halfway through it's going to just go to not black video, but I'm going to keep I'll just like roll some clips and whatever. Or they might stay on the whole time. I have really no idea. But the audio will definitely go the whole time. But anyways, yeah. So 10 months. We're halfway through our guiding season now. It's the first week in December. It's December 3rd. So our muzzleloader season just started on the 1st. And we had Steve with us, which was funsies, as always.
A little bit of a redemption hunt.
Yeah. They're here 2 seasons ago, because it was your first season. Clay shot a buck. We just could not get Steve a buck. That was like a weird year. That was a weird week. And I still don't know. I still don't understand why. Like all the corn was still in.
It was really windy.
But yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
Hot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was
He could
hot.
have shot a buck, but not
not
age.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, December 1st, he rolls in. We did a giveaway with them because when our episode came out, they wanted to do like a Black Friday giveaway kind of a deal with it where like win a hunt with me and Steve. So we had a guy that won it, and he ended up missing a buck on the first day, and then unfortunately went home sick, which I feel bad for him. So that happened, but Steve and I found a buck to shoot the first day. So
yeah, worked out great.
Yeah.
Do you want to like go a little more into like the story of your guys' stock and like seeing it, stocking it, you know?
Not big on story details, but we'd been seeing, we've had a really good year this year for more mature deer, I would say. Even better than I thought it was going to be because we had kind of a rough winter. I thought it was going to suck. Well, I thought it was going to be tougher than it seems to have been. Our quality seems to be really good. And maybe that's because we've been trying to hammer that the last couple of years is like, try to let younger deer walk. But anyways, so there's kind of a spot, we call it the green gate spot because the gate's green.
All the gates are green.
All the gates are green, but that one is especially green, and it's the green gate. So we were up by there. We'd been seeing some nice bucks. And the first morning we get up there, we had a buck. I could tell on my spotting scope, like there's all the corn is picked now, and there's a little bit of snow, like laying against that picked corn, and it just like leaves a really good backdrop to see antler outlines. And so I could see there was 3 deer out there in the corner. They started walking into the corn, and I just saw a long main beam laying out. And I was like, man, I think that's a pretty good buck. Well, then I had said, hey, Steve, I think this is a good buck. And I flipped my scope over so he could see it. And then I looked at my binoculars, and in that time, deer had moved around, and there was a buck that was headed out that had a big body. And I was like, oh, shit, I think we should go now. And so we grabbed our stuff. The deer I could see came out, And I thought he was going to go down into some canyons and we'd be able to kind of get around in front of him. And we did that, and he kind of slid by us and went on to the neighboring place. So then we go back up to our spotting scope, and both of us are just like, we're glassing around, looking at different deer, and there's still these 2 other deer in the cornfield. And I saw the buck with his head down, and he's just he was eating, but I didn't think that he looked like anything real special. And Steve said the same thing. He's like, I just kind of was looking past that deer, like just looking beyond him, like he didn't look like anything great. And I turned the scope back to look at him one time, and he had his head up, and I was like, holy shit, that's kind of a big buck. And like a mid 140s, like right in there, a good buck. And I said, I think, I asked him what he thought, and he's like, he looks like a really good deer to me. Is it stupid not to shoot him on the opening day? And I said, I think we'd be stupid not to shoot that buck. And he said, well, let's go then. So by the time we got over to where we could get a shot, he had turned and just kind of fed out of range at like 700 yards. And then he just kind of was gone, and he went on to the neighbors too. So I was like, well, that evening we should just go sit at the same spot and just see if they'll come back. And so we get there like a couple hours before dark, glassing around, not really seeing much. And I turn and look over, kind of, it's impossible to explain, but probably half a mile at least, 3/4 of a mile. Like it was a ways. Mm-hmm. Kind of on top of this hill, I see there's a deer, and he has his head down feeding. And I was like, oh, that's a buck. And right about then he lifts his head, and I was like, holy shit, that's a big buck. And I turned the scope so Steve could see it, and he's like, oh yeah. And he actually was going to come really close to where you and the hunt winner were. And you guys had seen him too, because you were like working along the tops. And he started going down this big canyon, and I was like, I think they're going to be able to see him. Like you guys are going to cross paths with him. But just in case he slips by him, I think I know where he's going to come out at. Let's just like haul ass down there and try to play backup. So we did. And he came out pretty much right where I thought he was going to. And in that time, it maybe took us 10 minutes to get down there, like not long.
He was just walking at a really good clip.
Yeah, and he was at the bottom. I mean, he had covered 1,000 yards by the time we got down there.
Yeah, because you guys just barely missed him.
We
I mean, he had to. Yeah, he had to just. I mean, you barely had to miss each other. So.
Yeah, ships in the night.
Yeah,
he must have just barely been on the other like side of the roll or something.
Yeah, and then we were like looking at some more deer way off, and boom, and I'm like, holy shit! And me and the hunt winner, Richard, both swore it was in front of us, which is completely opposite of where they actually shot from.
Yeah.
And I was like, about to text Jordan, like, sounds like somebody's right on the neighbors or something. But yeah,
it was just us.
Just weird. I don't know how the sound circled back, but yeah, it scared me.
Yeah, we got set up. And that buck started working a scrape, which is kind of cool. And it gave us a few extra moments to set up, which is nice. It was like 136 or 138 yards or something like that. And I was like, dial 1.5. And then he shot. And that was it. And that thing, there's been a couple of questions. People like ask when he was shooting. He shot my muzzleloader during this deal. It's a Arrowhead. It's a custom muzzleloader from Arrowhead Rifles. And he's shooting, they make a 300 grain bullet. He was shooting that thing, and there's a hole the size of a silver dollar in the entrance, and the exit, there's one little exit hole that's kind of even off from where the entrance was. And I think that was just fragmentation.
Yeah.
Like that bullet just like blew up in there.
Inside. And you didn't hit shoulder bone or anything like that?
No, it was right behind the shoulder, perfectly where you'd want to put it. I mean, it probably broke it broke a rib, but it didn't hit anything real hard.
Yeah, but like great expansion.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, yeah, that's the story of Steve's buck.
Yeah.
Total redemption from last time. Made me so nervous. Well, it made all of us nervous last time. they were here. It's like,
none of us thought that he was going to not get a buck on the last time.
I mean, for the most part, it's a pretty sure thing for rifle season. I mean, I literally think still to this day, Steve's the only guy who's ever gone home without a rifle deer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, it was crazy. I was looking back on it. Maybe that was the best thing that ever could happen because that went to TV, and maybe people that were thinking about booking with us, they booked knowing that Steve didn't shoot a deer. So I think maybe that helped us in a way. But yeah,
like set all those people's expectations. Like they're not going to come in and shoot like a 170 buck,
or they might go home without a buck, and they were still okay with it, which I think is huge for expectations.
Well, it is. I mean, ultimately, it is hunting, but sometimes people feel like when they're paying money that you should have a buck like staked out for them somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like if you're paying money to go somewhere, especially if it's like with a fully guided spot, there are some expectations there that like you're gonna get a pretty damn good chance. And I think that's what we always have talked about for expectations for ourselves is like it's up to us to put them within range of something that they want to shoot or whatever. And even like with archery equipment, I've always thought if we can get a nice deer within range, something that they want to shoot, something that we've, is like a nice deer,
good representation.
Yeah, good representation. And then if you're in range or whatever and you don't get a shot because of whatever, then that's just part of hunting. But I feel like if we can do that, like once, like I feel that we fulfilled kind of our side of the deal.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just doesn't work out. But
no, it was good. It was fun to have him back. So just like such a nice guy. Like pleasure to talk to, everything. Like him and your dad can sit around and talk about buffalo for like 5 hours, and it was a great time.
Yeah, it was super fun. So back to Cole. You originally from Louisiana. We know. How old were you when you went to Colorado?
9.
9.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your dad, because of the hunting, moved there.
Yeah.
Right.
He would go every year. I think it was like first rifle. He would go to Colorado and like down by Pagosa Springs, and we would hunt. Like I never hunted because I was too young, and but like the whole family would come up, and he would hunt for a week. And before we went up, he used to do like bring horses, and like him and his buddy would do. I don't think they like packed in, but they like could ride out of camp every day. And they would hunt every year, and he just kind of fell in love with Colorado and moved us up. Not near Pagosa, but it was actually funny. Like we moved to Colorado in 2009, and I don't think we hunted there like around Pagosa till like 2017 or something. Like we just like we would go back and visit every once in a while, but yeah. So but before that, I mean, I was hunting like literally as long as I could remember. Like I was shooting Tweety birds with a BB gun with my sister like every day. But yeah, I shot my first deer at 6 years old, which is legal in Louisiana. So yeah, but yeah, I owe it all to him.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And your dad still is hunting like crazy. He shot a nice buck this year too.
Yep, bunch of kickers. 8x8.
Yeah, super sweet buck.
Yeah.
What got you into guiding then?
So when I graduated high school, my plan was to go to college, get my business degree, and do like maybe like open a fab shop, like a welding fabrication shop. And I was like immediately hating college. And so I was like, well, I'll just work at a fab shop. So I started working at this fab shop and just like immediately quit going to school. Just like mid semester. Like I did one semester. And I think I passed like half those first classes, but
Yeah.
So that second semester I was just done. And I started as a painter and just kind of worked my way up to like welding like handrails and staircases and everything. And I did that for like a year and a half, 2 years. And I think I was pretty good at it. But I just saw myself being there for like the next 20, 30 years. So I was like, it scared me. And I was like, and I don't know. Guiding's just like, well, what can I do that I'm passionate about? And it's like, oh, you can be a hunting guide and do it for a living.
Were you ever nervous that you were gonna like love hunting and become a hunting guide and like making your hobby a job, like end up like hating hunting?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially that. Well, the first outfitter I worked for, like he kind of reinforced that for me because he hates hunting. Like he doesn't hate it, but he's just like could care less about it. Mm-hmm. Like he was all about the horses and that was his thing, and the hunting side was just like something he kind of had to do to pay the bills. But so I was like a little worried about that, but I don't know. I kind of found my niche a little bit now, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. Probably won't be forever, but
yeah.
Unless you find some land and start your own outfit,
yeah,
or get a lease somewhere.
Maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, even it's kind of funny. Before Steve left, he was like, "What are you guys gonna do the next few days?" Because he got to get out of there early, and I was like, "I don't know, probably paint some walls because we're working on a house, and probably go look for some deer." And he's like, "Well, you guys don't have any people, do you? Like, why are you going looking for deer?" And I was like, "I just like it.
It's just what we do in the morning.
We just like it."
Yeah. Even this morning, funny. I was sleepy and Jordan was wide awake, like before the sun came up, and she was like, "I'm gonna go for a drive. You're good. Yeah. You sleep in." And she got up and just like made a lap around, glassed some deer, and just like see what's going on. Just keeping a tally.
Show force.
Yeah.
It's Sunday. Yeah. The locals, I'm just making sure everyone knows we're around.
Yeah. Yeah. So, gosh, you're guiding for us, and then you're gonna do some Odd Dad stuff, right?
Yep.
After we're done here.
Yeah, I think I might. Well, I did Odd Dad last year in West Texas, and then I think I should be guiding for Scotty at top of Texas this year. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm doing. So I do. Well, this year I did. Started in Eastern. No, I guess I started as Audad in January.
Yeah.
And then, so I did January, February, March. Halfway through March, went to New Zealand. March, April, May, June, New Zealand. Came back, didn't guide for July, and then started in Eastern Colorado. In August, did a bunch of archery antelope. August, September, and then rolled into deer in Eastern Colorado. Do that through October, and then here. Then December we're done, and a Christmas thing, and then back to
Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, that's
right after we go on an Arizona archery hunt.
Yeah.
The trio of us.
Yeah, we're gonna do the archery only OTC Arizona hunt, which is going to be cool. Are you going to try to shoot a coos deer? No, just mule deer. Coos deer suck. No. I'm just kidding. Mule deer are better. Yeah.
If you have to choose, though, I mean, if a coos deer is standing right next to a mule deer, what are you guys shooting?
I'm shooting mule deer.
I'm shooting mule deer.
I knew that was going to be the answer.
But all the Arizona guys you talk to, they're just like, oh, they're stupid desert donkeys, and it's like, yeah, but they're bigger.
We've shot we've hunted whitetail. Coos deer is whitetail.
Yeah.
I can just go to
whitetail forever.
I can just go to public land and shoot 100-inch whitetail.
Exactly.
Instead of a coos deer. Call it a coos deer.
Call it
Yeah.
a goose deer.
Oh,
That's great.
so,
Yeah, but that's gonna be
gonna
fun. These two have tags. I opted out of the tag purchase and thought, man, that's a lot of deer to be trying to shoot. And your dad's going too, right?
Yep.
And so I was like, we don't need to be trying to shoot 4 deer down there. And I have just as much fun, I think, spotting than I really do.
And this
I enjoy
this
it.
is really what happened. It was time to buy the tag, and Leah's at the thing, about ready to push the
We've
button.
got Cole on speakerphone.
Yeah, we have Cole on speakerphone, and I go, how many deer did you see last year? Like, did you see a lot of bucks? He's like, how many deer did you see? 6?
No, I saw 56, but over 6 days.
Oh, I thought he said 6.
We misheard
Oh,
you.
I was like, did you just say 6 nice bucks though?
No, I saw like 2 nice bucks, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's
for
that's
sure 2 nice.
And
okay.
Leo was
Maybe
just
that's
like-
I was like literally typing in my information in the Arizona Game and Fish, and like they were like counting down. Like every time we looked at the screen, it was like there's like 80 tags left, and then it was like there's 60 tags left, and I was like I was like trying to input my crap in as fast as I could, and there was like 19 tags left, and all of a sudden I hear Cole be like, yeah, I only saw like 6 decent bucks, and I was like, wait. We're going to
She
walk
looks
down there
at me
with
and she's
4
like-
tags, and there's only potentially 6 to 10 nice deer that we're going to see.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, we don't need that many tags.
I glassed until I had headaches every day for 6 straight days, and I saw 2 deer. And like, it wasn't like I was seeing like, oh, this looks like a 150 buck or that's like a 140 buck. It was like nothing of any size, and then it was like giant.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
It's like a 230 buck.
Oh,
No,
what?
I don't think 230, but 215.
He was
Holy-
definitely 230.
Well, you
We
didn't
could
tell me
tag pictures.
that. I would have got a tag.
Yeah.
You knew that.
I did not hear any talk of it over 200
You're
deer.
good.
I'll show you a picture.
More for me.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that picture.
Yeah,
Wow.
but we've been, we talked about it a little bit. I got my bow stolen in Colorado, so that's awesome. So I got a new bow, and Cole helped me set it up, and we paper tuned it. Haven't sighted it in yet.
We need to. That's what
3
we
weeks
should be
until
doing.
we go.
Yeah, that's what we should
Now we
be
got a
doing
couple
this-
days before the
Yeah.
next hunters
Yeah.
come in. I feel like you guys
It's the
have to be
same
on
as
that.
your old bow, though. Like,
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm not worried about it, but I've got that dialed sight. So I was shooting a black gold, the S&S archery backcountry freaking whatever. I don't know. It's just, it was 5 pins with a slider. I'm used to sighting that kind of thing in. Like the pins will move so I can get that set. I know how to do the slider. And when I got the new bow, I was like, I looked at sights. Good God, the $380, $400. I mean, for a sight. And I was just like, dude, I have this dialed sight that they had sent Yanni and I haven't used it yet. So I was like, why don't I just put that on? Cause I already have it. And it has me stressed out a little bit because you can't move the pins. So I'm like, are they just set
figure it
what
out.
they are? And you're just like, you shoot it and figure out that your second pin is 35 or something?
we'll figure it out.
We're going to figure it out.
Yeah, we're gonna figure it out.
They'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah.
No, I think it's probably like way more simple than we're like
Yeah.
making it out to be, but I've never used it. It looks cool.
Yeah. Looks cool. The idea is kind of interesting. Like on a normal sight, your gears for your adjustments straight up and down. This one's like tilted. And apparently the idea for that is you get more travel up and down so you can shoot further distance without your sight housing being to like smack your fletchings
Yeah.
or hit your arrow or whatever. So
I had a guy
Do you have that here? Is it in the house?
the bow?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cole helped me set it up. Yeah, it's down at the Hunter house.
Oh, but it's down there. As I didn't know if we just wanted to grab it and like show what you were talking about. Gotcha.
No.
I had a guy shoot his sight housing this year.
It blew up, right?
Derailed his bow. It didn't blow up, but
Oh.
we were able to just run to Bass Pro and throw the strings and cables back on, and it was good. Just no bubble.
Just
Shot through the bubble.
oh no.
I mean, it was best worst case
Yeah.
situation.
Oh yeah, I can't believe the arrow didn't blow up and go through his hand or something.
Yeah, I should have known better, but
Is that the only major mishap you had this year?
That's the only one I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I don't
right
think
off
we've
the
had one yet.
top of my head. Yeah. Nobody's shown up with like the wrong tag or nothing.
No?
It's
been pretty good.
Been smooth, I feel like.
It's all those PDF files I send. Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Knock on this wood.
There was 6 more to go.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, 6 more to go. Yeah, it'll be good. God, what else? Freaking gear stuff that we used. Oh, maybe we should talk real quick. I want to talk about this thing. So I always thought that these were stupid. And then I was around, I don't even know how I got the idea that I was like, we've had to shoot a lot sitting this year, I feel like.
The grass, it was a big spring, a wet spring, and so the grass got really high. So regular bipods are somewhat worthless currently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, there's just been multiple times where it's like, God, just trying to just get set up for shot. And so I was like, I need to go get a set of, somebody had a set, maybe it's just yours. And I was messing with them and I was like, damn, these are actually kind of nice.
Describe to the people that aren't on video what you're talking about.
It's a Primos trigger stick, the Gen 3.
The tripod version.
Yeah, so
not the bipod version.
This one's the tripod version. I also bought a bipod version because I think that they'll be good for coyote hunting.
Have you seen where it locks in?
No.
So, say you want to go out, like you got to go really low.
I didn't know they swung out like that.
You
Nice.
can twist this, and then you can get really low. Pretend the table's right here.
Yeah.
What?
But I mean, you can only go to a certain degree, then these start sliding out. But
So I was literally about to bitch about that. About it not being able to do it.
yeah, they're
You
pretty
just got to
sweet.
twist that. And then this
that
one doesn't have, because when we were coyote hunting, you were talking about how the bipod kind of rolled a little bit. I wish I should have brought the bipod in with us too, because right here the bipod kind of tilts back and forth. And I wish, and maybe you can, we just couldn't figure it out in the moment that you could lock that so it wouldn't tilt. Because you want to be able to twist this, but when we were coyote hunting, like all of a sudden, the weight of your gun or something would kind of make it tilt.
Yeah.
And we kind of wanted it to be able to lock, but this thing is pretty sweet. Like easy little setup. One trigger to just like adjust. Boom. Like angles different. Like just your boom.
There you go.
Done.
Yeah.
Like you need that angle changed. Boom. Done. Like it's just super quick, especially for guiding when you want to like give your client the best like option for a good shot. Yeah. And it goes pretty tall too.
They make different sizes. We got the shorter one.
Mm-hmm. There was another one that had enough length that you could really stand up on it, but we hardly ever do we need a full stand up shot.
Yeah.
So.
Let's say you're like laying down and you just need to, and then you can just kind of.
That was smooth.
That was
super smooth.
That was legit.
They're good for like. Yeah, I don't know. Muzzleloader, they're actually really good.
Yeah.
Because like need to cut something off, bedded buck, whatever,
Yeah, they're quick. So that's the situation we got in the other day with Steve is like the hill was like so ever like kind of gradually rolling. So we needed to use that, but we were kind of on a side hill. And so when he had it just out normal, it was like kind of tippy. It wanted to tip over. And he's like, dude, grab this leg and stabilize it. So I was just grabbing it and like, like pushing it into the ground basically. And he said it was like stable as a rock.
Yeah.
But that was going to be my complaint is I was like, if you were by yourself, that would have sucked. But you can just tilt. Like if you could have tilted that leg up, then, that would have fixed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you would have lengthened your other two legs and tilted the other one out and leveled her up a little bit.
Right.
But
now you can.
So nice.
Yeah.
I would have never figured
How
that
much?
out.
How much was that thing?
They're expensive.
Like
$60?
$80?
Yeah, they were both. The bipod I think might have been like 90 or something, and that thing was like 118.
Yeah, this is the shorter version of what I have.
Yeah.
Mine is 160, but Yeah, they seem expensive, but they're not gimmicky. Like, they're not, like, cheap.
No,
they're not gimmicky.
It seems like it's a pretty solid material. And, like, if this is what you're doing, like, we have an outfit. Like it's well worth the money, obviously, for us. And, like, you as a guide, like, it's well worth the money to be able to be, like, here, like, for your client, like, to give them, like, a solid rest. Like, it's all about it, like, all that work that you put forth, like, making a good shot ultimately at the end of all that work. And so it's like, if you can have $100 piece of equipment that makes that shot 10 times easier to make, like, it's worth it.
Yeah. I've never brought one, like, on a personal hunt, but that's something you might want to talk about is, like, those, like, little 6-inch bipods to me are just paperweights. Just personally, I just think that's a paperweight because, like, and I've had arguments with people, but, like, so rare is there a situation where you can get on a rock or something, like, yeah, if you're shooting across a canyon at something, but, like, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have grass or brush or whatever. Like, if you're going to go prone, you probably need to be 12 inches off the ground. And then, but also to shoot off your knees or off your butt, to have a bipod that can do that, like, that's key to me. Like, I just use what is that one that is on my gun? On that 300? You don't know? It's like the one you can buy at, like, Walmart.
Oh, like a Harris bipod?
Yeah. But I think it's Athens, maybe, where you can, like, grab the leg, pull it out, and then there's a bunch of notches.
Yeah, that's the one that I have. That's an Atlas.
Yeah. Yep. That's my favorite one to use.
That's the one I've been running, and it works really good.
I ran into a situation last year when we were in Montana, where I was laying prone. I'd found a spot that I could see. I was shooting across a little draw, and the buck was bedded down, but I still, like, didn't have enough height, even with my my bipod pulled all the way out. And there conveniently was a nice little cow pie next to me. I slid the cow pie over underneath my bipod, and it gave me that, like, 2 inches that I needed to, like, get. So I was solid, but I thought that was pretty classic, good use of your surroundings.
So good.
Yep.
God dang, what else? I want to get into after. I want to dive into a couple other things first, but towards the end here, we'll dive into our just absolute tragedy of a coyote hunt.
You want to do that right now?
Right now or
no,
later?
I wanted to do that at the end.
Yeah, we'll finish off with everyone laughing at our
just
stupidity,
just a train wreck. But I want to talk about. Let's see. We've gone through some clients. Everybody's been really good, but sometimes there's, like, misconceptions or unrealistic expectations that we've seen in previous years. And I want to talk about that a little bit, just, like, total mindset. And here's what I tell people is, like, you know, everybody wants to hear, seriously, people that write in, everybody wants to hear the horror stories from guiding. And I don't know, we haven't had anything that's real bad. I had a guy sight his bow in wrong once, which was kind of funny.
Oh, it was upside down.
Yeah. So basically, here's his pins. He thought his bottom one was 20. So before he came out, did you hear this? Oh,
I think I've heard it vaguely, but
got it. Yeah. Okay.
Tell me again.
So this guy comes out. He's super, super nice. Very, very funny. Like, he means the best. So he's coming out. He had come out the year before with another guy. That guy bailed the next year. So he's like, screw it, I'm going to come out myself. So before he goes to shoot, he shoots one shot, misses the target, shoots through, like, a wooden fence, goes through his trash can, and sticks in the neighbor's fence. And so he just hung it up and said, I'm going to the bow shop with this thing. So he goes to the bow shop, and he said they helped him sight it back in. And I was like, all right. So he shoots a couple times at 20, and I'm like, all right, like, looks good. Let's go sit you in the stand. And he, like that first night he missed, or that first, the first evening he missed. And he's like, man, I missed under him. And I was like, well, how far was it? And he's like, it was 30 yards. And I was like, okay, what do you feel anything about it? And he's like, no, I think I rushed my shot and yada, yada. So I was like, all right. So I go set him out the next morning. I pick him up. And as I'm walking up to him, he goes, if these are your pins, which one would be your 20? And I said, your top one. And he goes, oh, shit. So what had happened was the deer came out at like 35. He his muscle memory took over and he knew that his second pin was 30. So he goes to use his second pin and shoots 5 feet in front of the deer probably. So I was like, oh boy. So we got him fixed up. We just moved the whole entire site back down.
Yeah.
And got him fixed up. But that's really...
Did he ever get a deer?
Yeah, he did.
Really?
This is another...
Wait,
I should.
He missed 2?
Yeah.
And then he got one.
Yeah. Yeah. And the recovery on his was fantastic.
Yeah.
He made a great shot. The deer didn't go very far. But here's something too, like if you're in the stand and you shoot a deer, it doesn't matter if you're with an outfitter or by yourself. Make like really good mental marks of like where he was standing exactly, which direction he went. Like don't completely lose your marbles, just like, you know.
You're going to sit up there for like 30 minutes, so just think about it. Like where to go.
Like pay attention to him and watch exactly where he goes. Like listen, don't be all crazy. And I don't think he was all crazy or whatever. He was jacked. So I go pick him up and I start looking around for blood. And I was like, so which way again did he go? And he's like, my best guess is he goes, he's somewhere in between here and here. Like
Jordan's open. Jordan has her hands at like 180 degrees right now for the podcast.
Like, in my opinion, he's somewhere between here and here. And I was like, okay. Like, that narrows it down. Oh my God. But we found him. He didn't go very far. But oh man, it was so funny. And
like on that like same train is like, especially if you're guided and like, you know, your guide's going to come and want to like go and find the deer with you, etc.
Yeah.
Like take some time to sit in the tree and hang out or whatever. But like, don't get down and start wandering around, walking around, looking through all the blood and stuff like that. Because then by the time, like, especially if it's like snowy or something, like by the time your guide gets there and goes to look for the snow, there's 4,000 tracks everywhere. And you're trying to decipher like the boot tracks versus the deer tracks, like maybe you already stepped on some blood and like it just like starts messing everything up.
Yeah. And like the fact of the matter is too, like if you're going with an outfit, like we want people to stay in their stands and have us come help them track because like we know this place better than anybody. Like I know this place anyway, like the back of my hand, and I know where the deer like to go. I know where their funnels like to be. Like I know what they typically tend to do, and Cole does too. And so we might pick up on something, especially if they're not bleeding very much. Like we might pick up on something that
like, well, from here, they're going to go down, they're going to dive by this tree is a path that they like to take. And blah, blah, blah.
And sometimes, you know, like people get really excited and they get down and they're just kind of like a little turned around anyway because they don't really know where they are. Like we walked them in the dark and they just, you can just, So I was thinking about it the other day when that meat eater video of me shooting the caribou came out. Everybody was like, such a stone cold, like no emotion killer or whatever. That's true. But
it's true.
It's true. But also, I think the reason I do that is because like I've been in situations where I didn't pay attention to what the hell was happening. You've gotten
excited before and screwed yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly
you have
what
to
happened.
stay like calm, cool, and collected until everything is 100%.
Yeah, I got too pumped and was just like, things fell apart.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the way I am now. And like guiding too, we have to be like that. Like we get excited. I was freaking pumped when Steve shot that deer, but as soon as he shot it and I knew he hit it, I just watched him in my binoculars forever. And like, even after he was dead, I just watched him. And Steve said the same thing. Steve's like, keep your eyeballs on him. Like, I'm going to go back and get my pack. And he's like, don't take your eyes off him. And like, I know not to do that, but you know, he was telling me that because he's like,
it's how it happens.
I screwed myself before. Like, do not take your eyes off that deer.
It happens so many times. You always see people in these videos and stuff that like they shoot the deer. The deer's still like running or kicking or doing something, and they're already celebrating.
Oh, like turning around, not even looking
not
at
even
it.
looking at it.
Like,
They're turning, they're high-fiving their buddies and stuff, and you're like, dude, like that thing is getting up and running away right now. And it's
literally,
like
that happened. That was a video. Somebody did a video on that, and they shot it. You can
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and
you could like see it behind him get up, and he's like looking at his buddies.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, they're celebrating, and literally you can see on camera the bull gets up and runs off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's especially bulls. Holy crap. Like
Yeah,
those
things
guys
are
are huge. They're super tough. Like you got to just watch them, shoot them, and just pay attention. And like more than likely, it's going to take more than one shot.
My
like,
dad lost a mid-90s buck like that. Like, shot it with a 7 mag, like, off a fence post. Like, watched it for a second. Sweet. Like, started, like, collecting his stuff or whatever. I don't remember what he was doing, but, like, he took his eyes off of it and then, like, just walked up there, like, to go get it. He might have even went to get the truck or something. Mm-hmm. And it was not there. But he has pictures of the deer. Is like, holy cow. And
never found it.
yeah.
Oh,
Dude.
Just like bled. I think it's
Tragedy.
like no man's land, and then just like the shock of the bullet just dropped it.
Mm-hmm.
And just, but yeah.
Dude.
that sucks. Oh, heartbreaking.
Yeah. That's
But
rough.
yeah, that's my like random little like rant. Is like I see people do that too much.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even archery hunting, like they shoot it and they turn to their buddy and they're like, I nailed it. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
And it's like, pay attention. Like,
I've
look
done
and
that.
watch exactly where that thing's going.
I've
So
done that.
Yeah.
yeah.
I do it all the time.
Yeah. All the time. I do it all the time, actually. Yeah, so before I got way squirreled, but that was a fun squirrel
Yeah.
little nest to go down. What is it called?
Squirrel
Rabbit. No,
Rabbit's
squirrel.
nest.
Rabbit hole.
Oh,
Rabbit hole. There you go.
Squirrel nest.
are you a golden retriever?
Yeah.
Squirrel.
Yeah, I have one.
Oh, yeah.
There are squirrel nests, though.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Good. Yeah, so, oh, god dang. Oh, yeah, mentalities. I've talked about it.
Expectations.
Yeah. I think setting realistic expectations and realizing that it's going to be hard, even on private, it can still just be hard. Like they're still freaking deer. Like it's not like they're just like,
It's not a high fence.
yeah, no, not at all. So yeah, I think like realistic expectations going in, and I think one of the things I see I feel like I see it happening more is like folks who may not hunt as much, when they book a hunt and come out, if they've been waiting for this for a year and a half, 2 years, like this specific hunt, you can definitely, there's some fizzling that happens that first day and a little bit of like panic in them when maybe they haven't shot a deer yet, even though they've seen a lot. Or
Or if they mess up one opportunity, they think that's it.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just like that tenacity of like sticking with it, you know, like people just, they like almost give up after like one day if they've messed it something up.
Cole and I have had to tell people before, like, hey man, we get up every day and think today is as good a day as any to like get on a buck. Like there's never like a day that I wake up that I'm just like, God, probably not going to get him one today. I don't know. That just never crosses my mind.
Yeah.
Every day is just like a new adventure. Like, what are we going to see today? Like,
Yeah.
you just never know. Like, I mean, I'm sure every place is different, but I do the same thing even in Idaho. Like, I'm always just like, I'm weird. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe other people are like this, but I have so much fun glassing. Like, I could sit in glass for days, and I love it. Right? Yeah, and so I like every day that we get to go and go glass. I'm like, what am I going to see today? Yeah. You know, it's never. I've never been like, oh crap, like it's over. I'm not going to see anything. Yeah. Like,
I think it's harder. Sorry, I think it's harder on a place you've never gone before, and you're like, well, pretty much seeing everything in this spot,
dude.
And then like we're here and we know like, okay, I think we saw everything, and then like literally like 10 bulls come out of this one little section of trees, and it's like, dude, I could have swore there wouldn't be a single deer in there.
Yeah.
Let alone 10 giant bull.
And then we just know that just different days are just so wildly different. Like, you may not see deer here this morning, so you could like me personally, if I'm going to a different spot than I've ever been to, I'm like, I gave this day like a full solid day of like hunting, and I haven't seen anything. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to move on, which is smart. But, like, we know that, like, okay, today there wasn't any deer here. There definitely could be tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and, like, we have, like, our set little kind of, like, glassy knobs and stuff like that we go to almost every single time, all season long. Mm-hmm. And we see different deer all season long. Mm-hmm.
Steve's buck. Like, he just moved in.
Yeah. Like, we literally got that buck on camera, like, 4 days or something like that before Steve got here. Yeah, we were like, well, that's long. A new buck. Mm-hmm. And, like, every deer, like, there's a couple resident deers. There's a couple resident deer that, like, we see consistently and stuff. But, like, even the ones that we know are residents and we're, like, up on those glassy knobs, we might see a different one every day. Like, we're not going to see the same one every day. Like, we'll see, 1 out of the 4 or here or there or whatever. And then new ones are moving in, other ones are moving out. Like, you just never know. And so it's like, you just stay consistent, stay glassing. Like, something new will walk in front of you eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. And just aside from here, just like in Western hunting, more Western, I guess, than what we are now here in Nebraska. Which is basically all of the West is west of Nebraska. I don't know if you knew that. It is though.
Solidly Midwestern.
Solid.
Sitting.
Spit into the
microphone. Is like, I think just like be out there doing something. There's times where, after we hunt for a few days or whatever and we feel tired, maybe we'll just take the truck and go run around, and we'll glass out of that on some high points. Maybe run through some new country. Like, just try to do something. Don't have that mindset. Have the mindset of like, I maybe don't feel like walking up that mountain this morning,
so I'm not going to go at all.
Yeah. So I'm just going to lay in bed. Yeah. Be like, if you really aren't going to do that, don't lay in bed. Sorry, don't lay in bed. Go.
I think it's pronounced freaking.
Do something else.
Yeah, like ride around in your side by side. Go check out new country. Go, but like,
and then
do something.
Yeah, do something to help you, and then maybe after that morning, you go, and then you go back up to where you had been before or whatever. But don't be like, well, if I was just seeing more deer, I'd go back up there. Or if I was just seeing more deer, I would get out of bed this morning. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah, it's worthless mindset.
Yeah. But if you're just like,
I don't feel like
I've been hunting freaking for 5 days. I don't feel like it this morning. Dang. I don't feel like it this morning. Then sleep in, whatever, and hit it hard this afternoon. But I'm just trying to get across, like, don't have this just total defeated mindset of like, oh, poor me. I've freaking waited for a year to go on this hunt and I'm 2 days into it and I haven't got a bull or a buck.
I'm just going to give up.
Yeah, poor me. I'm just going to give up and go home. Like, don't be stupid.
Just persistence. Just stay out there. You're not going to shoot anything from your couch. Like,
and trust me, Lea has to tell me this. Every year, I have to push her, and she has to push me.
Yeah,
I always have to push Cole,
whatever. He's pushing both of us. No, I think that's another important thing is like if you choose your hunting partner wisely, like you want to find someone that like picks you up on those days that you're doubting it. Like don't find someone that's a pessimist that like the second you're like, I don't know, dude, they're like, yeah, this sucks. Let's get out of here, you know, like
That's
blah,
me.
blah, blah. And every once in a while, Jordan will, I think we both obviously like go through stages where we're like, damn, like we're not seeing much, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like having that other person that's just like, well, let's just go over on this spot. Like, let's go over and check this area out. We haven't been there this year. And just like changing it up, but staying out there.
It's interesting because people a lot of times always ask the question, like they always ask Robbie this. How do you know when to stay, like when to leave a spot and go to a new one or when to stay? And they try to tackle the question all the time. But I think that's like a kind of a fine line that we're talking about too. Like you don't want to be ridiculous. Like if you feel like you've put 4 super solid days into an area and you haven't seen anything, like it's probably not there if you've never seen it in there to start with. So there's that. And then there's just like, you know, this is going to be harder than I thought, and I'm just going to go home. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's hard, but I mean, and those are tough hunts that we're talking about. This is easy. This here, we get a like super hot, awesome meal that Claire makes every night. You're in a house with freaking dish TV, watching football.
Hot showers.
You have internet, hot showers, drinking some Coors Light. And like that's easy, and people still fall apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not like in a tent, freezing your ass off. Everything's wet.
Yeah.
Like all the things that can go bad. Like
yeah. So like one thing that was kind of interesting this year that I experienced was like, I had more fun. I hunted more in Idaho this year than I ever have. I hunted harder. I like never went home really. I was staying in a camper some of the time, but. I really never went home. I stayed out there the whole time, and I literally did not care if I filled my tag or not. And just that mindset made it so much fun. I hunted way harder. The experience was way more awesome, and I didn't shoot a deer, and I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like if you're only going to go out for one deer hunt a year, and you need to fill a freezer, like your mindset's going to be different.
Right.
Then if you go out for multiple hunts a year, your freezer's full and you get to like relax and enjoy the hunt for what it is.
Yeah.
If you're just trying to go out and whack a deer so you can put food in the freezer and like get to your kids' basketball game or something, you're going to have a different experience than like you said this year. Like we have plenty of meat in the freezer and you could just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah. We're so lucky for that.
Oh, we're so lucky, man.
We are so lucky.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like, I just could not care less to shoot a raghorn this year. Because, like, I was just like, I don't want to pack it out. Like, you know, I've shot raghorns. Yeah. I mean, it would have been cool to shoot a good bull, but I was like, cool. I'm happy. Like,
Yeah. If you don't, it's,
you know, I lost $50 on a tag and.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, learn more about the unit I always hunt. So.
And that's totally a like good thing to say because every year, like how many days you put in this year, I have no idea, 20 plus or whatever on that deer hunt. Mm-hmm. You know more about that unit now than you did the year before. And then you can attack it a completely different way, even next year. Yeah. Same thing with you. Like if you like whatever tactics you were doing, you know, archery, elk hunting and stuff, like no matter what, if you're out there and you're doing it, you're learning. Mm-hmm. Like, and you're just going to be better the next year, whether you are successful or not. And
yeah,
that's a good thing. More knowledge.
Yeah. Gosh, anything else before we dive into the wheels off the bus?
No. Yeah. Let's talk about our like gear, like
that we can't live without.
Yeah. Things that we like use this week. Okay, you did yours.
I don't know about live without, but
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Helped us this week.
Yeah. Cole, would you like to go first?
I've been thinking about this really hard. The Steve brought like his little skinning or his predator, fur bearer kit.
Yeah.
And he had, the tail stripper and the little knife, it's got a little hole in it. And you put your finger in there and you can just run it down the tail and open the tail up. That way you can get borax in there and dry the tail out. And he had this it was a little piece of aluminum with 2 holes on either side. And then I think it had was that a chain or a cable?
Like a little
It was a chain.
Okay, it was a little chain. And it went up to that piece of aluminum and then went to it went to a little carabiner, which had like a little O-ring or whatever it was. And then it had 2 chains coming down from that aluminum, and they had a little ring on the end, and then you could just feed the chain through, and then stick a leg through, and it would like grab on.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just like skinned both of his coyotes. Well, I think Lea shot one, he shot the other, but me and him skinned it out.
Shot one once.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 3.
Jordan shot one.
Yeah.
I missed.
I feel like we all had a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get into that.
But
yeah, I mean, we were yanking on it, but like I started a little after Steve, and we finished pretty close at the same time. Like it was not bad to do 2 at once, but that was handy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty handy.
And it didn't seem like it weighed that much. He brought it in a little
he
like
brought it
FHF bag.
Yeah.
And because he knew that we were going to go coyote hunting if we got his deer.
Yeah.
And so he brought all that stuff just to have it ready. And so I was like, I never skinned a coyote before, if I'm being perfectly honest. I've always shot a lot of coyotes, but we've never been like for getting people.
I've always just taken mine whole to sell them.
And you still can. I actually looked up the like fur guy in town, and it's not that much different currently with the current prices, whole with the skin still on, compared to like skin, stretched, dried, all the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, so I'd never done that before, so I got to like sit there and just kind of watch you guys do it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Last time I've skinned a coyote was probably 10 years ago. But bobcats is pretty much the same thing, just tubing them out to stretch them and everything. But no, it's good to do that again. And yeah, I think Steve's gonna send you a tanned hide, and it'll be sweet.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Hang it up.
He's making a blanket.
Yeah.
Yep. I think my gear thing was that we went on a night hunt that you guys are very shortly going to hear about. And that Jordan has this, it's from
Wicked Lights.
Is it? Predator Pursuit. You told me it was a Wicked Light.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wicked
gotcha.
Lights.
It's from Wicked Lights. But it's a red light / also a regular flashlight, but it's
white. It's white, red, and green.
Oh, you have green too? Nice. It is crazy bright for a regular white light. And that's what you would use last year around calving season when the coyotes are like literally surrounding the house.
The max, I shot a coyote at 300 yards with it. That's probably
with a
max.
white light. Yeah.
With the white light.
Yeah, that was cool last year. And we had never really, or I hadn't even ever used the red light version. And Steve had this exact same light on like a little like pistol grip handle. So when we went out, I was in charge of the light. And it was, I thought it was great. Like the coyotes just didn't seem like they really even cared. You could see their eyes really well. So yeah, I'm already like putting one on order. Jordan has hers, so that way you can stick it on a Picatinny rail on the side of the.
Yeah. So that's what I used for like during calving season. We had a lot of coyote problems this year. So yeah, that's what I was doing. They would just kind of hang around the house. I would be in bed, and in the middle of the night, I would hear them howling, and I would just like get my light and go outside, and I would have just like a regular spotlight, and then that, and because I didn't have a thermal yet, and yeah, it worked good. I would just like go out and just like shine around to where I thought they were going to be, and I would see eyes, and I would just shut the thing off, and then just try to get closer. And when I thought I was close enough, I would like get laid down, get everything kind of set, and then I would just. That has a remote switch that comes off the back of it, and I have that Velcro to the side of my rifle. And I would just like get it up to where I thought I was going to be, put my power all the way down, pop the light on, find him, and then go power up and shoot him. And even with the white light, that was all with white light, and they didn't care.
Yeah, didn't seem to care. And so we had our little fun night hunt, and I was like, that was fun. And there's obviously a ton of coyotes around here, so I think the three of us are gonna go ham.
I have a question. Do you have your collar here?
Yeah, it's in the truck.
Yeah, it's in the truck.
Before I leave tonight, we should, if you're open to it, just throw it out there in the pasture and
See what comes across.
Oh, yeah,
we could sit right on the porch.
just do like a 10-minute set real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so real quick, the collar we're using is a Lucky Duck Revolt.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty awesome, actually. It's got a remote. It goes has this magnetic tripod that magnets into the bottom of it. You can set it out. It gets it a little higher off the ground, but then you can make it rotate. So you can change a little bit of how the sound is getting thrown out there, which makes it just a little bit more realistic. And then in the handle, there's this little foxtail looking thing that pops out and magnets into the top. And then you have settings on your remote that will make the decoy move or not.
Mm-hmm. Gives them something to look at with the sound.
It's a badass little thing.
Mm-hmm. It worked good. I think we called in 10 coyotes. And
how many did we shoot, guys? 3?
All right, that leads us right into
so we wanted Steve wanted to coyote hunt quite a bit. He loves that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went out the first I guess midday.
Yeah.
You, him, and I went out. And I shot a coyote with that. And then that night we wanted to go out, and all 4 of us went. And we had Steve had a thermal, an AGM that ranged, which was super nice. And then I had 2 SIG thermals, one on my tread, and then one that somebody else, I think Cole had it. Yeah, Cole was just scanning with it. Steve was shooting my cross, and did we have we had another cross there, or did you have your shotgun?
I had my shotgun. Yeah. And you had the black cross. Mm-mm. No, you didn't have a gun. Okay.
No, yeah, we did
we'll get
that first set.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did eventually, but not to start.
Yeah. So we sit down, we go up to just a spot we call the meadow. We set up, it's completely dark. We have this light that at the time I completely forgot that I even had a red setting. And then Steve had his that was only on the red setting.
Mm-hmm. And you didn't have this mounted to a gun or anything. Cole was just in charge of it. Or were you, did you have
that
it?
was me.
Yeah. That was you, because no wonder he was
in
all
charge
over
of
the place.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
been
know.
Way smarter.
I had 3 things that I was in charge of in the pitch black.
I should have known. I didn't know you had that.
Yeah. So anyways, we walk in, go set the collar out, sit down, start calling. Pretty soon Steve goes, Jordan, there's a coyote coming in on your right. Look over, it's a raccoon. Comes in, and about that time I hear you guys say, there's at least one coming in front of us. Or something.
It was a good while.
Yeah.
So it was a while.
Yeah, it was one was coming, and then a good while later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the one comes in. Okay, so first off, I did a classic thing. I'm using an AR. I am trying to be quiet. I don't want to just slam my bolt down. So I get a shell in quietly, and then my forward assist, I hit it, and I thought that everything clicked in correctly.
Yeah, and I was worried about that in the moment, but I watched you pop it, and I was like, sweet.
Yeah, we're good to go.
Yeah.
Not so fast.
Because I've done that before so many times.
So the coyote comes in. Steve's like, he's at 120. He's at 100. He's at 90. He's at da-da-da-da-da. And he's like 60 yards. And I waited for the thing to stop, click. And I was like, oh, shit. So I was like,
all of us hear this click, and we're all like, oh, no.
That's where the wheels started coming off pretty fast. I went to just rack another one in. Well, since it didn't completely not it cocked, but since it didn't completely grab that shell and seat good, it didn't eject it. So then it just tried to slide another one in, and then it was jammed up in the dark, and I was just like, I couldn't find the collar. I couldn't find my freaking light. Everything is just...
It's pitch black.
Yeah,
There's no moon.
Black. Yeah. And people are like,
Jordan,
Steve's like,
what's going on?
Shoot. I was just like, dude, my gun's jammed. So
because we can't really see that Jordan's having
what happened.
A situation.
Pretty soon, the red light comes on.
Okay, so then that's when my shit show started. Because
and then there was another one. There was another coyote with that one that came in behind.
So
me.
hang on.
Okay.
This is where you guys are getting the story wrong already. So you had the. Wait, fuck. No. So first, the coyote comes in. And you're getting on him, and it was just like too far, and like Steve gets on him with the red light.
No, she clicked first.
No,
yeah,
are you sure?
Yeah, it was because it was at 60 yards. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there in the dark. I have no night vision.
That whole story is correct. I just thought that the one came in first, right after the raccoon. Mm-hmm. Steve had him out there and like couldn't see.
Yeah, that was after Jordan.
I was after my click.
Yep.
Okay.
Because her click and everything happened. And then he goes, screw it, Lea, red light. And so I have his, and he had like showed me like, you click this, it turns on, such as that. And then you can twist this and it turns up the intensity. And so he's like, you just start like with it up in the air, you turn it on and then you bring it down and then you can like turn up the intensity. And so like I click it and it like, the like intensity is really low, and so I like turn it up, and but I'm like I like bring it down, and he's like, where like turn it up, and I'm like, I did turn it up, and he's like, no, turn it up. And I was like, I did turn it up, it's as far as it'll go. And meanwhile, like it's not like really shining that well, and he's like, oh, you gotta twist this, and I didn't know you could like twist the front of it to like narrow down that beam.
Turns into a block.
Turns into a little block. And so he's trying to help me with my shit show, trying to get the red light. Finally get it, like shine it over, see two coyotes like standing like back to back, like 50 yards apart. And then Steve's trying to pull up your regular cross with no night like optics or anything. And he like you have your rifle set up for like long range shooting, so it has a really fine crosshairs. Yeah. And he was like couldn't see the crosshairs.
Before that, he gets on it and he's like, "How do you turn the safety on this?"
He was like, "I couldn't find the safety."
I had like an oversized kind of goofy safety.
Yeah, I didn't want to like click my headlamp on, so I just got the thermal light and I just like shined it on him. And meanwhile, I'm the only one watching. Jordan's messing with her gun. Leah's messing with the light, and I was the one on the thermal, so I'm like, nobody else is helping him. And so I like shined it on. He finds the safety, turns it off safety, and then I'm like back. I'm like, where's the coyote? Nobody can find the coyote, and it goes like out of range.
Yeah, because then he's like, Lea, get behind me. I'm like trying to scoot behind him because he was like needed more light like through the scope in order to get to the crosshairs. That's when
he couldn't see through the crosshairs.
Yeah, and so then I'm like the coyote is right there. I'm like, shoot it. And he's like, I can't see. He's like doing this business. It was rough. And then all of a sudden, this giant flashlight is just waving through the air. And I thought it was you. Turns out it's Jordan, like one hand on the rifle and the other hand doing this. And I was like, in my head, I'm like super steady with the red light, like shining it on this coyote and whoever has the flashlight. And I was like, I thought it was you. And I was like, Cole, you are the worst flashlight person in the planet. It's going everywhere.
I do remember that.
There's like coyotes everywhere. It's like everywhere I shine, there's freaking eyeballs.
We kind of got done with that first little just mishap.
It was two, and they left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I never even saw the one that you missed. Like the 60 one that was like, at 60 yards. Never saw it.
We've got to get our stuff together. And about then, somebody's like, Cole's like, there's 5. Or there's more coming. There's 5 out there.
I was like, what is that? That looks like a shitload of coyotes. And Steve's like, there's like 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're coming in. Jordan's still fucking with her gun.
I finally got it.
She finally, like, they're coming in and I'm watching them. And then Jordan, like, okay, I'm good. Sweet. So, and then, like, I don't remember what happened, but somehow we're not looking at the 5 that are coming in anymore.
Yeah,
we go back.
One.
Steve's like, there's this one. Or maybe you found it. You found it in your scope. You didn't see the 5.
Probably because I thought I was pointing that direction.
And
but
it's
I was pointing this
pitch black. It's pitch black, and then everybody's got this thermal in their eyes, so it's like you're blind, basically.
Oh, I was blind and I didn't have a thermal in my eyes. Trust me, there was like no seeing
in
it.
the dark.
So Jordan's like, all right, I'm on him, and then like somehow Steve gets on him, and he's like, okay, he's 120.
Because I had the red light.
It was one of the ones that we had already called in, and they were coming back in. And he's like, all right, 120, 81. And then I was like kissing at him, and then Jordan whistled. Boom. Smacks it. I just watched this thing in my thermal, and I'm like, it just dead. And I'm like, all right, turn the big light on. Turn the big light on. Oh, pause. Go back 5 minutes. After that whole fiasco, I asked Steve, I was like, hey Steve, are you gonna try to shoot at these if they come in? Talking about the 5. He's like, man, the crosshairs are just too fine, and I'm gonna have to have really good backlight. I'm like, he's like, unless your eyesight's better. I was like, yeah. let me give it a shot. And I was like, yeah. So then, right after Jordan hammers that one, I'm like, turn the big light on, and get on the 5. And I'm just going to try to like clean up on the 5. Well, they're nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
Jordan, the one that Jordan just sent to heaven, is back alive again.
Pretty soon Steve's like, oh shit, that one's up and running. And so we swing back over to it and then proceed to just tap dance around it. Both of you, I think, were shooting at that point.
We were just like,
and
it was gone.
Yeah.
It took off and was never to be seen again.
Yeah, we called in 7, 8, something like that. Went home with 0.
Yeah, it had to have been 7.
So, haven't been back.
Yeah.
You know,
we need to go back.
Yeah, we need to go back, but I'm going to wait until my red light shows up. I think that if we have 2 of the, if you're like budgeting, right? Like instead of dropping $5,000 on some sort of, night vision situation, I feel like it's a thermal. Thanks for that. If we have like, you have a thermal.
My night vision goggles.
I actually think we could get some like at like the Army Navy store or whatever, just like an old helmet. That'd be pretty sick with those little goggles.
Haven't you ever heard of the stories of those? They're like, there's no depth perception with night vision.
Really?
Yeah, so there kind of is with thermals a little, but with there's not with night vision. Everything looks flat. And you hear of guys that are like overseas and they're talking about they're like running and they think something's like out a long ways from them and they like clothesline themselves on it. Yeah.
Huh. No, I didn't know that. I have heard stories of people that are trying to hunt and they think that there's like a big animal like coming in or whatever. And then all of a sudden they realize it's like a mouse, like like 10 feet in front of them because they didn't realize like how far away it was.
I haven't heard any of those stories. I've just heard of guys shooting dogs or something.
Jeez.
What? Steve, coyotes.
Coyotes,
Yeah.
Steve
Sorry, I
told
went
me,
straight to golden retriever there.
Steve told me that they
Black Lab.
they were night coyote hunting away, they were night coyote hunting. I don't know, whatever, week back, a few days, could have been 7 months. I don't know, a while ago. And he said he was on a coyote in his thermal, and the coyote sat down, and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna take this. It's time." So he clicked his red light on, and it was like from here to the refrigerator away from him, just like sitting there. And he's like, "Holy shit!"
Like
really
way closer than he anticipated.
Yeah.
Huh.
Damn.
Yeah. But anyways, I think like since you have one on your gun and one that you can like handhold and look around, then if we each have a red light, like that Cole and I could have red lights like mounted onto our guns. And that's like the cheap way to be able to hunt coyotes at night. If you just have like one thermal that you can you can see the coyotes with, and then just be able to click on the red light.
I would like a flashlight though. Otherwise I'd be swinging my gun around.
I know. Well, that's my biggest thing.
Having a handheld.
I think if it were just me going by myself right now, I would have my thermal as a handheld. Even though I can put it on a gun, I would just hand hold it, and then I would put my light on a gun. Because then I could, then you're not like swinging your gun around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what we're
doing.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I did
maybe do one on the gun and one hand holding.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did like Steve's thermal in that he could range within it, which seemed like it was really nice because then like you could talk like, and obviously we had a big group of us sitting there. But like everyone knew what the range was because he was whispering it out kind of as it went, and he could watch that whole thing like come in.
Yeah.
But it was terrifying for me. You guys all could see. I could not. I was the only one without any night vision, if you will. And I was just sitting there in the pitch black, like, just like, okay. And he's like, 80, 60. And I was like, if this was a major predator, I would be dead. I have literally couldn't. I was staring. I'm watching where he's looking. I'm like trying with all my might, trying to like see something. Nothing. I never saw that.
No, it was cool though. I mean,
dude, it was
we
so
just
fun.
suck, but
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It made all of us be like, we're doing that. We're doing that way more.
It would have been way better if my gun would have worked correctly.
Now you know just to like
all right,
load it back at, when we first start walking and we're not sitting down set up.
we're not complete noobs. The next day, what did we kill? 2?
Yeah.
But
Out of 5.
was it 5?
It was
A group of 2. A group of 2 and a single.
well, yeah. So, yeah, 1. Then it was a double. Called him right into like 60 yards. You shot 1. Cole shot at the next one and about made you deaf.
I still can't hear to my left. I was so good. Like the whole other time, like when you and Steve and I went out midday, I had my ear pro, the like whole week and been so good about it. And then we go out, I switched jackets because I had just been wearing a brown jacket. And I was like, no, if we're going out in the day, I'm going to put on my camo jacket. And I switched jackets and forgot to grab my ear protection. We like lined up along this fence and called these 2 coyotes in. And it was really fun. I saw them like 400 yards away, and then they ran in, and Cole was ranging the whole time. We had switched back and forth on who had a rifle and who had a shotgun. And it was my turn on the rifle. And so Cole had the shotgun, and he was sitting like second in line on the 4 of us sitting on the fence. So he's like ranging, totally guiding me, which is like,
Well, I was trying to narrate for everyone. So there's 4 of us. It was Lea, me, Steve, Jordan, and we're all sitting on a fence row, and the coyotes are coming down the fence row we're on. So I'm trying to narrate for everybody.
Turns out Steve can't hear anything you're saying.
I couldn't hear anything either.
I was like, Lea, you're going to have to shoot him. And I was like, actually, just wait till they cross the fence and get out in front of us.
Yeah.
And then, once the one saw our outlines, you smoked him.
Well, here's a little bit of that story. So I could hear some whisperings, but I didn't know what was going on. And very poor timing on my behalf. I went to pause the caller to be like, what do you guys see? I paused the caller. The coyotes literally run underneath the fence. And then I think caught our movement because the caller stopped. And they just weren't super focused on it.
I had to kind of like swing over a little bit too.
Like, oh shit. And I turned it back on. But I was just like,
which is funny.
They're like right here, 60 yards to your left. And he looked and boom.
Yeah. It was just it's kind of funny because like we saw them coming for like 2 minutes, at least a minute, like running down this road. I'm like crosshairs on, like can see both of them. He's like telling me yardages like the whole way. And I'm like, everyone's going to be ready. They crossed over the fence. And I was like, okay, I even told Cole, I was like, I'm going to take the one on the left, thinking the one on the right would be far enough out that one of you guys could shoot it. Turns out you guys didn't even really like.
We didn't even know there.
Yeah, I was just like,
Steve knew we could see something, but he couldn't hear Cole the whole time.
Yeah, I was like giving a story. I'm like, just wait.
He's
And
like,
all of a sudden I hear Steve go, holy shit.
They're like, boom. Right
oh, obviously Steve doesn't see it, so I grabbed the shotgun.
Yeah, because so then like the one stopped, the one that was on the left stopped and looked right at us, and I was like, well, they're not going to get any farther out than that, and so I shot it real fast, and then all of a sudden, kablooey, right, like next to me, the shotgun goes off. I at first I thought it was Steve shooting, but I was like, man, that like you have a silencer on on your
It's a suppressor.
I know I say a silencer every time. The suppressor on yours, which is what Steve was shooting, and I was like, man, that was really loud. And then afterwards, Cole was like, hey, did I ring your ears a little bit? And I was like, what? And he's like, I shot the shotgun. I was like, no wonder my ears are screwed.
Yeah, I actually rested it on your shoulder.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was fun. But yeah, I kind of threw some lead at the other one as it ran off and went to no avail. But yeah, that was a fun one. The first set, you guys had one come in that Steve shot. Mm-hmm. And then we had one that kind of hung up. You were having some I put remote
the collar
issues.
too far out, and it was super flat with like a little. It kind of rolled away from us, and I got the collar to turn on, and then I turned the volume down when the coyote that Steve was going to shoot was coming in. I just turned the volume down a little bit as he was coming, and then the whole thing just like I was trying to get the thing to work, and I ended up turning it off. Couldn't turn it back on, so we had to run out and get it. You called me on the phone.
Yeah, because we were
like,
there's just like a little knoll, and these guys were set up on this side, and we were only set up like 50 yards apart, but we were on this side, and their coyote came into them, and then we had one that was swinging around and was going to come right kind of to us, but then the collar was to our right, and so then I thought that it would come to like 200 yards and then skirt over towards you guys, but he had stopped and was like staring dead on, and I was like, Jordan, turn it back on. Jordan, turn it back on. Jordan, turn it back on. And it like went, and this guy was just like standing there. And I finally was like, turn it, call her, turn it back on. And she was like, oh shit. Like had to run over there.
I'm having some technical difficulties with it. So
yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. But he didn't want to commit. And so Cole made a pretty long shot on it. What was like 330 or something like that. But yeah. And then we had one more come in.
So we scared a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there. So we're going to go out and we're going to.
Yeah, we need to go back out.
We got all of our little quirks out of the way. And then we're going to be
my
dead.
deal with that gun, it happens a lot during shotgun season. I literally have had this happen like 3 or 4 times during shotgun season for turkeys with clients. They get in the blind and they're trying to be really quiet. And they, slowly try to quietly put a shell in. Turkey comes in and it clicks because it didn't just engage correctly. Mm-hmm. So happens.
Moral of the story: rack your deal,
or make sure you know that you bump that forward assist like
real hard,
really good. Yeah, I did the next time. I like loaded it softly in the daytime, and I hit that. I didn't like smack it, but I just like pushed the hell out of it, and then you could hear it just like engage. So
good to know.
Yeah, cool.
It was fun. We had a great time.
Yeah.
What's this for?
It was just sitting on the table.
Okay.
223.
Randomly of note, in that Steve was trying to keep these pelts, and we were shooting 6.5 Creedmoors.
Yeah, we were shooting
130 grain Sierra bullets.
Yeah, Sierra Game Kings or whatever the hell
they are great deer rounds.
They really have been really good deer rounds, but as far as coyotes go,
if you're trying to save your pelt,
up.
Steve's got some sewing to do. One of the coyotes was so bad that he was like, I don't think we're gonna save this one. Yeah. But yeah, and he made a comment that I thought was pretty accurate, that he was like, it's hard. You want to like, if you're trying to save the pelt, to try and get a round that kills him dead and doesn't let him run off. Like,
yeah, it's kind of hard to find both, right?
Yeah, it's like hard to find that happy medium where like you don't want him to run away with a little dinky hole in him, but you don't want to shoot him dead and have a giant hole in him.
Well, I think some of that's just going with a smaller caliber. Mm-hmm. Still going good bullet, but these smaller calibers, 223, 22, 250. Some of the, I think maybe even a 243. It's starting to get big, but
300 round.
Just
definitely.
I know Cole was like, hey, you want to take my gun? Just grab the 300 and blah, blah, blah. And Steve was like, that's not going to work for my pelt situation.
I was like, I you just wanted them dead.
Yeah. We had a great couple of days.
Few days. We've had a great deer season too, just in general. We shot, Steve's buck is mid 130s, upper 130s probably.
Good buck.
Yeah, and he's an 8. So, I mean, a big 8. Is he an 8 or a 9?
Yeah, he just had like little ring.
Yeah. He's a 10. I think he's a 10.
Yeah.
If you were to score him right now, I think like it would be an inch on those 2 points. So
yep.
I think it would be a 10.
Yeah. So, we had the SIG guys come out. One of those guys got a $160.
151.
That we'd been after. Yeah, we had a 151, a 146.
And change.
And, yeah. 130-inch 8-point, which is super tall brow tines, which is a really cool buck for a kid.
Mm-hmm. It's been
I don't know. It's just been a good year, and there's still good deer out there we've been seeing. So
yeah, the hunt winner just barely missed a nice 10-point,
like a mid 140s buck, I think.
Yeah, 70 yards. Cole snuck him on there. It was fun.
Yeah. So. Cool beans. Well, we didn't really have any questions on this episode, but if you go to jordan-bud.com, you can submit a question via like a voicemail. And then what I can do is I can play it on here. So I can be like, oh, we got a question from this person. And then I can play it and it'll play like a voicemail with your voice and all that stuff, asking the question, then we can cover it. So yeah. Cole, do you want to tell anybody how to find you, or do you want to stay hidden? I don't want anybody to find him because... You're going to take him away from me. We want to keep you forever.
I'm not working for anybody else. I mean, besides the people I work for now.
I was like, wait a second.
No, if anybody, I'm going to work for myself. Cole.Trichell1, I think is my Instagram. I think. Look up Cole Trichell.
Yeah. Yep. And I'll have him tagged in some stuff too. Yeah.
Running Water Hunting.
Yeah, Running Water Hunting too. Check her out. We're starting to book quickly. Yeah. I have 67 emails sitting in my inbox the last time I looked at it. Yeah.
From yesterday.
Steve.
From overnight.
Yeah, Steve was kind of talking you up on Instagram, and it really
hit the... posted pictures of a deer.
Yeah, really hit the interwebs.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
So that was nice of him.
Oh, yeah. It's the 3rd. I'll probably have this episode out tomorrow, hopefully on the 4th, but on the 6th, I'll be in Denver with Steve and the Meat Eater Gang for a live show. So I think there's still tickets available. I don't know. They're like 40 some bucks a piece, $42 or something like that. Yeah, for the live show in Denver. So if you're around and you're bored, come check it out. I think there's trivia.
I thought they were sold out.
I don't think the Denver one
is. The VIP tickets are sold out, which I think is like a meet and greet sign thing. I don't know. Don't know. But anyways. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Cole will be here holding down the fort.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God. You make life so much easier. All right. See you guys on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Jordan's Toolkit. If you have any questions or suggestions for future episodes, please visit the website, jordan-bud.com, and follow the links to submit an email or voicemail to be played on air. If you're listening on an audio platform, you can also watch this podcast on YouTube via Jordan Bud's personal channel.